if we could address you directly right now.
Everything comes full circle.
That's number one.
I don't tell him what questions to ask me.
There are a lot of people around town that have the same question.
Brush my teeth. I'm a good watch in the morning.
I can't confirm or deny.
You know, just keep going a little bit longer here, Mike. Keep going a little bit longer.
Broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome into Newhouse Afternoon. Nico Horning, Alex Pohl, Evan Fay here with you, back for our second Monday show of the semester. And we had a Super Bowl that happened last night. It happened. And if you're an Eagles fan, you're definitely super happy waking up this morning. A pretty chill win for all Eagles fans, considering that they didn't really have much competition throughout. But overall, I just want your guys' first reactions from the game last night. Did you watch the whole thing? Did you enjoy it? Was it kind of boring? To me, it was pretty boring. But a Super Bowl's a Super Bowl. We got two of the best teams in the NFL, and Eagles showed out.
Yeah, it didn't really seem like it was a matchup between the two best teams in the NFL. Honestly, pretty boring on my end.
Yeah.
I think that what stood out to me the most is pretty much what you were actually talking about 2 weeks ago, is that defense is what wins games. That's a lot of what happened in this game. They were just shutting down Mahomes like over and over again throughout the whole game, and they just... Oh, it was really just not fun to watch.
Evan called it. You said the Philly defense would win this game.
I did.
And I was riding the Chiefs train because I thought that Mahomes would do his thing, and I thought it was gonna be a really close game. But you got this.
Yeah,
so,
well, first off, I'm very glad that we're the first Newhouse Afternoon group that gets to talk about this Monday right after the Super Bowl. But I say it pretty much. I think every single time I talk about football, I say it. And is that the game is won in the trenches, and that is just true. We saw that last night. 6 sacks for Philly, 2 by Milton Williams, 2.5 for Sweat. And, just what I said, defense wins championships. A very low-stress game, as you said, for Philly fans. I mean, the city is still literally on fire as we speak. Yeah. And that was going to happen whether it was a win or a loss. But, it was a little boring. I was hoping for a better game, but I can't say that I'm unhappy. To see Mahomes win a three-peat would have been...
It would have been very cool.
It would have been very cool, but it's just that's too much winning. I like that we switched up a little bit. Philly fans, they're on their high horse, but I'll take it.
And Jalen Hurts he had a good game. 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception there, but they were already up quite a bit. I mean, Saquon Barkley also, for the amount of times he actually carried the ball last night, they protected him very well. It was basically a receiving game and a defensive game as well, with Cooper DeJean for Philadelphia. But the fact that the Chiefs' offense was literally stopped the entire game. I think they had 1 first down to start the game and then didn't exactly get in opposing field territory until later on in the third quarter.
Yeah.
What did you guys see on the Philly defense to put a ultimate stop on KC's offense? It was incredible. I had never seen that in my life.
They did almost pretty much completely abandon the run game first of all.
Yes.
And that's exactly where the Eagles were so ready for that, and they stopped them every time. But also they just weren't protecting Mahomes at all. In so many case scenarios, he was trying to run, get away from it, and just wasn't able to do so. How we usually see him scrambling on the field, able to come up with something. He was working with nothing. They
gave him no room. And the funny thing is, I don't think the Eagles recorded 1 sack, technically. I don't know if it was the entire game or at least for the first 3 quarters. It was all 4-man rushes to Mahomes, and they pulled it off. So I've never seen a performance quite like that for Philly to be up 24-0 at halftime, and then KC did make a move in the fourth, but it was way too late. It was funny. I was the people I was watching the game with, we were talking about, okay, if Kansas City gets this onside kick and then scores, and then gets another onside kick and then scores, and then got to do it 3 times.
The whole city of Kansas City.
Yeah. Obviously that disappeared on the first onside kick, but
it was one if not the best performance by a defensive line in Super Bowl history.
For sure.
As you said, I mean, they were just firing on all cylinders. We got the pick six, Cooper DeJean. There's guys were stepping up and making huge plays when it counted. Zach Braun with an insane interception on about the Kansas City 20-yard line in what was it, the first or second quarter, and as you said, held them to only 49 rushing yards, which is, I mean, insane, especially considering how good the Kansas City offensive line was all season, and they just fell apart. So credit to the defensive line. They won them the game.
100%. Yep, great win for the Eagles, 40-22 last night in Super Bowl 59. We got Nico Horning, Alex Pohl, Evan Fay here on Newhouse Afternoon, and we got plenty more to come. We got Syracuse basketball. We got Syracuse lacrosse down the line here later on in the hour as well. But, not too many takeaways from the game other than the fact that Mahomes didn't do his thing. Philly had a great win. But a lot of conversation had to do with the halftime show as well. I want your guys' first initial thoughts on the Kendrick Lamar halftime show. I got to say, there's been a change since COVID. I don't know if it's a budget thing or, like, what's going on, but, like, the show, I was fine with it. I thought it was fine. I'm not a big rap guy, but I do like some of Lamar's songs, and I thought it was a fine show. But then some of my roommates and I actually ended up looking at some of the shows from the 2000s, the 2010s. And
good.
It's like they blow anything out of the last few years out of the park.
100%.
What are you a guy of? What do you normally listen to?
I like a versatility of music, 80s, 90s, to indie rock. A little bit of country is fine. I like some rap. I just don't usually listen to it on my own. But
you're definitely the biggest country buff.
I don't mind country. I just don't like listen to it a whole lot. So I'm pretty flexible when it comes to music. But I don't know. What did you guys see from the Lamar thing, and then we can get into this halftime show conversation. What were your thoughts?
It was fine.
Yeah,
like
that's
the
what I'm
same
saying.
thing. There isn't much. I think it's hard also to do such a big performance when it's rap. There's
only so much you could do, right?
There's really only so much you could do, especially with the type of music that it is to do different types of like choreography to rap. Like
that's true, but
there's not much to work with. I'm also again just not a rap person. I don't really listen to his music, though I did know like most of the songs like the whole time because they're so
popular.
Like, exactly. You hear it, but it's not something I would then choose to listen to. I think that it certainly was interesting. There were a few Easter eggs in there going against Drake that were definitely interesting, especially having like Serena Williams in there.
True.
And all of that. It was that, I guess, added to it a little bit, but
yeah, I mean, I kind of disagree with you. I think rap couldn't be done. We saw that the other year. I absolutely loved when Eminem, Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, that was a good one.
You had 50 Cent hanging upside down singing songs. I mean, they pulled that off fantastically.
They did.
This one, as you said, I think it's probably the general consensus. It was okay. It wasn't that good. I did love when SZA came out and they were singing that song together with all the stars. I think that was my favorite part, but overall, not the best.
And I don't know if there's much that they could do. I mean, there is based on the production value that we saw like even years ago. And I don't know if it's an Apple Music problem compared to Pepsi. I know we're a Syracuse-based show here and stuff, but this is a fun conversation because you do look at some of those shows like Katy Perry writing on a Tiger in the Roar song.
Can't beat that.
And then you have Bruno Mars. You have all these artists that literally had an insane production, and I'm not saying the last few years haven't been insane, but like you look at some of those shows and there's been a drop off. There's been a noticeable
100%.
drop off.
And even the ones where it was like not so crazy of a performance, like it was still a performance that like stuck out. Even when singing Purple Rain in the Rain
oh my
Battle
gosh,
thing,
I rewatched that last night.
Like just stuff like that. It
Black Eyed Peas.
Black Eyed Peas. That was a good one.
Lady Gaga jumping from the top of the stadium,
God.
I think, right?
Flying.
Yeah.
Descending.
Since Pink was here in Syracuse in October, I think she'd pull it off pretty well. Flying around the stadium.
Yeah.
So, do you guys have a favorite one over the years that you've remembered or grown up watching?
Do you? I'm trying to think.
Man,
it's hard to remember them year after year.
It's hard to beat Katy Perry.
I agree.
Hard to beat Katy Perry.
I agree.
She pulled it off. I love the rap one from a couple of years ago. What was that? That was Rams.
Yeah, that was in LA.
That was really good.
Rams versus Bengals in LA. Yeah, that was so good.
Do you have one? I know you're hoping for a country artist in San Francisco next summer. Maybe Morgan Wallen will make a.
Oh God.
They might.
Luke Combs.
No.
Has there ever been a country performer?
I don't. That's what I was thinking about last night. My friends and I were talking about it because they were saying it's hard to do like such a great production sometimes with rap, but then we're like, okay, but what about like country? Like, how much can you really do?
It's as popular
like
as ever in the country.
It is.
You know what I mean?
You know what's funny is, aside from the halftime show talk, they didn't show Taylor Swift a whole lot last night.
Oh, I know. I was so happy.
Nor the president. So.
Right. I mean, they showed Swift like maybe 2 or 3 times.
I mean,
and I swear a couple years ago it was
doing
like
well.
True, but I mean, still, it's.
I mean, Travis Kelce, the look on his face when the camera panned to him.
I know. Very true. So, great win for the Eagles. Now, of course, no football for, 7 months or so?
So sad.
Maybe a spring game here in Syracuse come April or so. But, I mean, what are your guys' overall takeaways from the season overall? I think a lot of people wish there were 2 different teams in this game, but we got what we got. I think the Bills still had a great season. Ravens still had a good season.
I think the Lions also did a great job this season, something that not
just
everyone was like
short.
really expecting them to do, and they were such an exciting team to watch this season. They were definitely like my favorite overall.
I know it's a shame how their season ended, but
we got Tony from Ithaca jumping on the show here. Tony, I know you want to talk about this halftime show last night. What are your thoughts on Kendrick Lamar?
Was it on the in the comment section?
Hello.
Oh.
Hey, there you are.
Yeah.
Tony, we got you. Yes. How are you? Yes. How are you?
Okay, I'm okay. How are you?
Good. Thanks for jumping on here. What do you want to talk about?
Okay. So listen, I don't really want to talk comment, and you guys can go with it from there, okay? I don't really want to have a whole lot of conversation about it, but I think a lot of people have responded to the halftime shows like I wasn't good, this, that, and the other. I mean, if you're looking at, I'll use the rap because that's the venue yesterday. If you're looking at rap for entertainment versus education, you're listening to the wrong thing.
Hey, that's a good point.
There was a lot of historical stuff dropped. There was a lot of education dropped that people have basically just didn't see. So I'm gonna leave you guys with that remark and let you guys play with it a little bit. Maybe some other callers might be able to chime in with their opinion about it, but I just want to drop that on. If you're looking at rap for entertainment versus education, it's the wrong venue.
I agree. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. I would 100% agree with that take because there were multiple instances where there were, I mean, you had Samuel Jackson as Uncle Sam, and it wasn't this whole entertainment production value. There were a lot of teaching points, I thought. So he's got a good point.
I agree. Maybe I got to give it a rewatch.
It's true, and I respect that it wasn't this whole showy thing because, you can have all the production and everything, but the fact that they kept it simple, they played the songs, and they had some dancing in there. I thought it was fun. So.
Yeah, I mean, I guess just to give him a little pushback, it is the number one pretty much entertainment show of the year, but
very true.
Kendrick Lamar, he is debatably the best rapper of all time. I mean, of this new generation at least, and no, there's a lot to like about it.
100%. Well, we appreciate the call, and if you want to call us, you can give us a call here on Newhouse Afternoon, 315-437-7644 if you want to chime in about the Super Bowl today or Syracuse basketball, which we'll talk about up next, as this hour of Newhouse Afternoon is powered by Drivers Village Cicero. Go to dvoffers.com for more info. All right, with that, we leave you the number. Please call us in, and when we come back, we will have Syracuse basketball conversation. 2 teams that aren't doing too well, but a very entertaining game on Saturday in the Dome. We'll talk about that and much more here on Newhouse Afternoon. You're listening to Q Sports Talk and ESPN Radio Syracuse.
Sweet. I'm glad we got a caller.
You go.
Kira's wrapping up a tour. I have to go to class.
Okay.
Do you mind just watching my stuff?
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, no one's going to come in here anyway. You're fine. But yes.
I didn't expect it, but I don't want to be mean in a bit, so.
You're good.
Thank you.
So, what else were you guys up to this weekend? Anything fun?
Went bowling.
Oh, did you?
My roommate's birthday.
I want to go
so
soon.
That was fun.
Where'd you go? Apex?
No.
Did you go to AMF?
It was like 25. Is that it was with the casino in it?
No.
It was a bowling/casino.
Interesting.
It was fun.
What did I do this weekend? I love how I have to pull up my calendar to figure out.
Oh my gosh, are you actually?
I have short-term memory loss. I think I'm like Dory from
Finding Nemo.
Yeah, from Finding Nemo. I produced the post-game show for WAER on Friday for the men's lacrosse game. Saturday, I was on the post-game show for Citrus for the basketball triple overtime game. We had the Media Cup on Saturday.
Oh yeah,
That was fun.
about that.
That was fun. Hey, I got 2 minutes of playing time.
Look at you.
What was it?
Close down defense, by the way. Lockdown defense.
Let's go.
And then hosted for Z yesterday for the women's basketball game.
Nice.
Busy weekend.
Yeah. I guess it turned out to be pretty busy.
Yeah, I love how I pull up my calendar and there's just nothing there. I literally didn't do.
What did you do?
What did I even do this weekend? Friday was at the studio show. No. Friday was at the studio show. I mean, I didn't do anything, but I was there.
Hey.
Moral support.
Nice.
Oh my gosh, what did I even do this weekend?
Wow, short-term memory.
Pull up the calendar.
I did. I don't plug anything in for my weekends. I just, figure it out. Actually, no, I have stuff plugged in for next weekend, but.
Evan, what'd you do?
Yeah.
Pull up the calendar.
Oh man, Evan and Alex went bowling, did some radio stuff.
Cool.
Which was the 89, but yeah.
If you're watching us right now on Q Sports Talk, and if you have not entered college yet, highly recommend downloading Google Calendar on your phone and stay organized.
Notion calendar is better.
Notion?
What?
Notion.
What's that?
What is that?
This is it.
Is that
here.
Mac thing?
No, you could download on anything, but you connect it to your Google Calendar. So all your Google Calendars will then go into one. And then.
But what if all your Google accounts are already into one? Like when you look at your calendar.
Yeah, then you have to have all of them. I don't know. I like this because then it connects to the app, and you can have all of your planning stuff. All my homework is in there, assignments, everything.
Okay, that's fair.
And then it all just merges into this one calendar. And
Gotcha.
it also tells you how much time you have left doing other things.
Yeah,
so when I'm sitting in class being like, oh my gosh, when is this going to be over? I look and it's 22 minutes. I'm like, yes, we're getting there. That's why when we're in our earth science class, I keep looking over and I'm like,
is there an earth science?
Are you going tomorrow?
Yeah. Of course I'm going to go tomorrow.
All right. I'll see you there.
That lecture is definitely.
Do you ever go to the 5 o'clock class?
What's the 5 o'clock? Oh, our poli sci? Yeah.
Maybe I never see you there.
Yeah, I sit in the back of that one.
I sit
you
in the
sit
middle.
I
also get there 2 minutes late every time. I don't know. Whatever.
So I'm always coming from another class, but.
Yeah.
And then, do you like your recitation for that one? Who do you have?
Ooh, I do like the guy.
Do you go to your recitation?
I mean, I have to go for the most part. You're like, I know you don't.
No, I love my recitation. We played Jeopardy last week.
Yeah. Do you have the guy?
Okay, there's two guys.
Oh, you have two?
No,
wow, you have two teachers.
Oh my gosh, there's two. You can't just say the guy. There's two guys. So which one do you have? Jonathan or the other one?
I have the guy from Illinois. He has a beard.
You have the other one.
White Sox fan?
You have the other one.
Okay.
I don't know his name. Never met him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so fun.
No, it is.
But then ours, he never knows what's going on. He'll ask us a question, we'll give him the answer, then he goes, I don't know.
Watch live on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back to Newhouse Afternoon. I'm here with Alex and Nico. And guys, basketball, both men's and women's. Let's start with men's. 95-86 victory in double OT over Boston College. Should not have gotten there in the first place, but what do we think?
Yeah, I mean, I was a little disappointed in that game. Thankfully, Syracuse came out with a win, but it definitely should not have gone to overtime. BC is, Syracuse isn't very high up in terms of the standings. They're right at the bottom, but just above BC. And so they're.
Hey, I'm glad you're bringing this up. I'm glad you're bringing this up.
I mean, it was definitely a tough game to watch. But yeah, they were literally like barely above BC in those rankings, especially within the ACC. It should not have gotten.
I mean, what makes me mad is we were up by 3 points with the ball with 5 seconds left. I mean, somehow, and then you missed the free. They fouled us, missed the free throw, and then they hit that buzzer beater. But
it ain't over till it's over.
Yeah.
I'll give you two different looks on this. One is the game. The second is kind of where we are in the standings that Alex just brought up. Yes, it should have never gone to overtime. I think everyone knows that. I think people thought Syracuse kind of had it in the bag, and then Boston College all of a sudden came back there at the end of regulation, a big three. I forget who hit the three, but maybe it was Donald Hand. Maybe it was Beadle. Anyways, big three at the end of regulation. But the fact that this game went into 3 overtimes was crazy. And Syracuse trailed by 7 at one point in overtime. Boston College trailed by 7 as well at one point. So it was pretty back and forth. But it was ultimately important that Syracuse pulled out this win, no matter how they got it. Sometimes a win is a win. This was one of those games, even though it should have never gotten overtime. It did. And so at that point, you got to move on and try and think of a different outcome or way to win. So they get the win. Then you look at the standings. And like now Syracuse is 2.5 games ahead of Boston College for that last tournament spot. 15 out of 18 teams make it for the ACC tournament. And as bad as this season has been for Syracuse, it is pretty cool that there's still something to play for.
That is true.
And these guys are going to hopefully play extra basketball in a few weeks because of this. And it actually was a pretty big win when you look at the standings. So I think a lot of people are forgetting, yes, it's a terrible season for them, but there's still something to play for, and they're not as bad as the bottom teams, Notre Dame, NC State, especially Miami, who comes into town on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I said before this Boston College game, they have to win these 2 games against BC and Miami before you play North Carolina here in Syracuse on Saturday. So some pretty big games coming up. Got to take care of business against teams that are pretty equal to you, if not a little bit lower. They did that on Saturday. Got to do it again tomorrow.
Yeah, and Coach Autry, he said a win is a win. He also told the guys at halftime, and you thank Elijah for keeping them around at halftime. He
had a great start.
It was a great boost for the freshman. Hit three 3-pointers, 3 for 3 in the first half. Got 11 points and
scored the first 8 points of the game for Syracuse.
Yeah.
And then he kind of fizzled out since. Like after that, but
he did what he needed to do to contribute. And
exactly, he got him going, which was important.
That's what
it shouldn't have gone to triple OT, but hey, it's good for the stat line. Eddie Lampkin, 18 rebounds, 14 points, another double-double for him. I mean, he's a double-double monster.
It's kind of funny to bring up, but I was talking about this with a couple of people the other day. I think one reason that Lampkin is a double-double monster or gets so many rebounds is because the amount of times he misses his own putback or his own shot and then has to put it back. I mean, talk about padding your own stats. I think Lampkin is kind of doing that sometimes, but it's not totally his fault. It's just the more you watch and the more you tune in, it's like, okay, he kind of does miss the first one, then he gets a rebound, then he puts it back up.
A board is a board.
It is.
True.
So, but no, he really has controlled a lot of extra possessions for Syracuse, and that's been nice to see. So. And then Starling to break away in the second half, had I think 14 points in the second half, scored 28 on the game. He had a slow start. Funny thing was, he also had a great second half the last time Syracuse played Boston College, scoring 20 of his 24 points in the back half of the game as well. So he was impressive, but it was definitely a team win. It was very frustrating going into overtime, but it was actually a very, very entertaining game. I don't care how you view this team or what your stance is on any of this, but for a pure good basketball game, I thought it was a classic for sure.
It was a classic. We gave them a show, something to watch, and now we sit at 11-13, which is the same record as our women's team. They sit at 11-13 with a yesterday 62-50 win over Wake Forest. Did you guys watch it at all? Or they came up big, outscoring Wake Forest 23-9 in the fourth quarter. So we love to see that. I mean, that's kind of a quick transition, but we got to shed some light on them too.
I think, I was hosting that game for another station, and again, Wake's not a good team. They're at the bottom of the ACC. They have just one conference win all year. So that was another must-win game for another Syracuse team. 62-50 the final. And one player that's been really hot as of late is Sophie Burrows I think she had 23 points and then 28 points in the last 2 games, trying to go for 3 20-point performances in a row. Came up short, but still scored 15. Syracuse won that game yesterday because of their defense. Burrows had 5 steals. Woolley also had a great game with 21 points.
Yeah, Burrows also then added on 10 rebounds in that game as well.
Yes.
Which definitely was able to help out the team as a whole. She was really leading them in the rebounds, especially in comparison to everyone else. But putting up, again, 15 points, which, just short of that 20 mark. But like you said, someone who did surpass that mark would be Georgia Woolley with 21 points in the game.
Definitely. Evan, did you have any thoughts on this game from yesterday from them?
Yeah, I think I made a mistake. They're 10-13 instead of 11-13, right?
Correct.
Yes, 10-13.
But anyways, it was a good win. You said the usual suspects coming around. Georgia Woolley, Sophie Burrows, double-double for Burrows, 15 points, 10 rebounds. And I like to see my favorite out of every stat line, my favorite is assists. So let's give some credit for guard Dominic Camp, racking up 9 of those.
There you go. The other thing that we should point out, Syracuse won this game at the free throw line. Yeah. Because Wake Forest, I think they went 2 for 2 from the line the whole game. Yeah, they had 2 free throws in the fourth quarter. They had no free throws at all for the first 3 quarters. Get 2 there at the end. And then Syracuse goes 17 for 21 from the line, a great percentage there. Woolley had 8 of those.
10.
Yep.
Yeah, Woolley always does a phenomenal job at the line every
100%.
Single game. That's sometimes then how she gets so many points is because she's so aggressive in her shooting, whether she's driving or just putting it back up from down low. She goes up to the basket with so much power that they're always constantly fouling her, putting her at the line, which is so dangerous to do with a shooter like that because she, in the game, 8 for 10 from the line.
100%.
You can't keep giving up so many.
And I know that we were on here a couple weeks ago. I was a little tired, admittedly. I just came back from Clemson. But during that game, Woolley had won the game at the free throw line again, towards the end because Clemson played the foul game. Woolley went to the line, 5 times in the last 2 minutes and knocked down pretty much all of them. And she is a 90% free throw shooter on the year, or 89%, something like that. And she is... You got to have that one person on the team that you're going to put the ball in the hands of. She's going to go to the line, and she's going to get it done. So very important for them. I forget who they play next. I think
we play Thursday.
They head to California. Yes.
Yeah, head to California, your home state.
That's right.
Thursday, 10 p.m. game versus Stanford.
Yep.
So that's going to be a big one.
Yeah, tough week coming up. I mean,
and then Cal after that on Sunday, which they're 21st in the nation, so that's gonna be a tough one.
Yeah, sure. Huge. First off, huge win yesterday. Just getting that out of the way after a big win at Virginia Tech, who's not a bad team either. So they've won 3 of 4, and again, this is a rebuilding year. Coach Felicia Leggett Jackson said it over and over. Right.
She's admitted it.
But for them to have this type of basketball here as of late, I think a lot of it has to do with Sophie Burrows finally finding her stride. And then you go to California. That's the next 4 games, I'd say, is really where things ramp up because you have a game at Stanford. Cal's a good team, right? That's on Sunday. Then you come back home. You play North Carolina, number 13 in the country.
Then you have Duke after that.
And then number 10 Duke. So these 4 games, you're going to really find out kind of where this team is at. Yeah. Despite the record. And I think it's always fun to see, maybe things aren't going right all year, just like the men's team, but at what point can you at least have some positives from tough opponents?
Yeah, see what strides they can make towards the end. I think it's also going off of a great start of beating this Wake Forest team, giving them a little bit of momentum, confidence going into these games. So it's going to be really tough matchups these next 4.
No, it's going to be very tough. I'm hoping we can squeeze 1 or 2 of them, but, Maybe
I think they can do it.
Maybe something crazy, maybe something unprecedented will happen. We'll win all 4. Who knows? But I love that show.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible. This show and last show, we're coming off a Syracuse women's basketball win. So I love talking about wins. Let's go.
100%.
Let's go.
That's a good point. All right. On another note, as a baseball fan, I just got to throw it in there before we start talking about lacrosse for the next half hour. Pitchers and catchers report tomorrow. What's today, Monday? Wednesday. Sorry, they report Wednesday. Spring training starts in a week and a half. It's a good time of year, I got to say. And it was funny. There were some memes last night, and MLB posted when, the game was not great for the Super Bowl. Baseball season is here. It's a great feeling.
It's upon us.
Yes. Max Gifford, my longtime Newhouse afternoon partner, and I would probably talk 45 minutes baseball at this point, just getting ready for the season. So had to throw that in there. Very excited for the season to start. And
Hard to believe that.
Yeah,
I know. So got the snow on the ground.
Got a whole foot of snow on the ground out there.
Have you been to spring training before?
I have not.
Or have you been?
I've never.
Okay. I didn't know if you guys have been or not, because I've never actually been to Florida, but I know they have half the teams at Florida, half in Arizona. I usually go to Arizona, obviously, because it's closer. But I don't know if you guys have gone before or not, so I'll leave it there. Okay.
Exciting time for sports. Super Bowl ended. Time for baseball. I'm excited. We'll be able to talk about it on this show coming up in a few weeks.
Definitely. Should be fun. All right. When we come back, lacrosse. 2 good teams. Finally, we can talk a little bit about. Alex is excited. I'm excited. Evan's really excited.
Evan's really excited, guys.
Indeed, I am.
All right, lacrosse discussion when we come back here on Q Sports Talk and ESPN Syracuse.
The Sports Show with Cody.
Oh, yeah, thanks for tossing. Sweet.
Pain.
Fred Payne brought the pain. Yes, it was Fred Payne. That's right. Thank you, Super Cat 610. More of that, he occupies a lot of space.
Probably for Lambkin.
That was a crazy shot. I can't believe that.
That was a good shot. However, I will say, the fact that he was that open was kind of sad. I mean, also Starling went underneath the screen to let him that open, which is not great, but happens. Anyways.
Yeah, actually, I stopped watching once there was 5 seconds left. We were up by 3. I had the ball. I literally walked away from the TV. I'm like, oh, it's over. And
how would it be over? 3-point game, 5 seconds?
But we have the ball. I didn't think that, and
this
then,
guy.
Gosh.
I was
I have
too confident.
A lot of my roommates were at the game, and it was really funny. They left.
Wow.
Like, again,
That's
with
crazy.
whatever, like the 5 seconds left. They're like, oh, okay, we pretty much won this game. Like, all is well.
They couldn't get back in.
They left. They came home. And a bunch of us were sitting there, and I had it up like on my phone, and so like I knew that the game was still going on, but everyone's like, "Oh my God, like how was the game? So did Syracuse win?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're pretty sure they won. Like they were up, like we left."
Yeah.
I was like, "Guys, like the game's still going on." And they're like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "Yeah, like the game's not over."
That's insane. That's
like
insane.
we're in overtime.
Yeah.
But
and then double, then triple.
And, yep.
Triple over.
So did you guys watch the whole thing?
Yeah, I didn't.
No, but like
I watched the ending.
Yeah.
I watched the ending. Yeah.
I like had it on, but I wasn't like focused. It was on in the background.
There you go.
I don't even think we were in the bonus at that point with 5 seconds. They still have fouls. I think they fouled us twice.
That was the crazy part too.
Yeah.
I was waiting for a turnover or something. It's not over till it's over.
Yeah, he said, look.
Anyways, all right. So we were going women's first, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Ladies first.
True. Are you a Yankees fan?
Mets.
All right, good.
Really?
I'm happy.
I respect that. I mean, that makes sense because Long Island.
Yeah, that's the interesting part about Long Island is like.
So they're all Mets fans primarily?
I don't think so.
Is it half and half?
Yeah,
most Yankees?
Yeah. Well, that's the interesting part because Long Island's like you have the Mets and Yankees, you have the Islanders and the Rangers.
Yeah.
You have the Giants and the Jets. Like there's 2 different teams for everything.
Yeah.
And none of them can win a championship.
And none of. You know what? We try. We've gotten close sometimes.
True.
At least like the Rangers and the Knicks are generally more consistent than the rest.
Knicks this year, they're good.
They are good.
Won't beat the Celtics though.
Is that your team?
Oh yeah.
Must be nice to have a national TV game every day.
It is very nice. Yeah, literally every day. Don't have to pirate it.
It's funny because I can watch every Kings game because I have the thing, but if they're on national TV at all, I gotta like clear my schedule. Like it's a commitment because we get
for Sacramento
one game a year, 2 games a year.
What do you think of the trade?
Yeah,
bittersweet. Sad.
I mean, De'Aaron's my guy, so it's like there's never been a guy that's like been that involved in Sacramento. So
Levine is so good.
But Levine, exactly.
He's so good.
Exactly.
Highly likable.
Definitely. So I'm excited. And I'm just glad we got something in return.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You want to host? Host this block.
Alex is hosting.
Yeah.
Watch your favorite ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back to QSportsTalk.com on ESPN Radio Syracuse. I'm Alex Pohl alongside Evan Fay, Nico Horning. Really exciting time because lacrosse is officially underway. We had both our men's and women's teams having their home openers of the season. And men's had played earlier in the week, but both teams played this past Friday. And starting off was the women's team having their first game of the season against U-Albany, pulling off a 21-9 win.
Exciting.
Did you guys watch the game? We watched.
And Alex's favorite part of the show, by the way.
And my favorite part of the show.
Yeah, look how excited she is.
I'm very excited. This is a very, it was hard to see what was going to come out of this team for the first game of the season. You have a lot of change. In terms of the middle of the field, your main attackers, they stayed pretty consistent. You still have Emma Ward, but at the same time, your goalie is a complete switch up from Delaney Schweitzer, who's now at Northwestern. And then, so now you have Danny Guyette in goal, who hasn't really seen much of the field. She was injured her freshman season. Sophomore season was kind of that reserve player, touched the field a few minutes here and there when they were up by a bunch. And then also the main part was on the draw control, where you now have, who did a phenomenal job in this game, was Megan Rode. So it was definitely a lot of switch up for this team, but they did phenomenal and obviously pulled out a 21-9 win.
Yeah, I love to see that. Obviously, our two main attacking duo, Emma Ward, Olivia Adamson, combining for 11 points. 6 for Adamson, 5 for Ward, so obviously they're going to ball out. My favorite stat of the game is that 6 players who didn't record a point for the Orange in 2024 tallied at least 1 point, so we got a versatile attack now, and also freshman boom. We got a trio of players, including a hat trick for Melina Cotter. So we'd love to see it. We're looking good.
I think, the backbone of this team is going to be Adamson and Ward, right? And
100%.
And the two, it's kind of the same thing with both the women's team and the men's team. Is you have some new faces from last year, but also on paper you sort of look better. I know this women's team has had some questions to start the year, and we're only 1 game in, but they had a hot start. That's all you can ask for. But the fact that both teams are bringing in new goaltenders too is going to be something to watch, because we'll get into the men's team soon. But Jimmy McCool has really not faced a whole lot yet, and that's a lingering question. For Syracuse, you had Guyette, have a decent game, but also, 6 goals allowed, 3 saves. Okay, it's not terrible numbers or a high volume of shots or anything like that. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens when these couple of new players are pressured going into the thick of the season. Yeah,
100%. In terms of in goal for Guyette, 3 saves.
It doesn't do much.
6 let-ups. You can't
rely on Guyette. That's
It's more of, especially being a goalie in the ACC, where you have such tough opponents on both the men's and women's side, you have to maintain at least about a 50% save average.
Yeah.
You just need to. Delaney Schweitzer had some games where she was up in the 80%. That's just the way that you have to play to maintain wins in this conference, because you have such strong attackers, and we do have a really solid defense, and that's what's going to save and help Guyette at this point in the season. And what we're really going to have to rely on is also the draw control, being able to gain possession but also maintain it, because if it goes into that defensive end and she faces a shot, there isn't much of a guarantee. And I would have liked to honestly kind of seen more from her, especially against this U-Albany team. Nothing against them, they're a phenomenal team, but I would have hoped that her stats are a little bit higher. You know, these first few games are kind of that buffer time for them where their stats are really high. You see a lot from them, and then, you know, it gets more realistic. And if she's coming up with this percentage right at the first game, it doesn't instill much confidence, but also it's, you know, her first college start. She was injured for a while. She was playing behind Schweitzer, didn't really see the field much. So this could just be a little bit of like, you know, it's basically as a junior, it's kind of like her first game jitters, basically. So see what happens after that. I do have faith in her ability, and the fact that they're choosing to put her in goal to start, there's got to be something there.
Yeah, give her some time. I think I said this last show, and I think for this Syracuse team, we're going to have to rely on the lacrosse philosophy of the best defense is a fantastic offense. So let's keep it going. I mean, obviously our defense is also really good. So,
phenomenal
but as you
job.
said, maintaining possession, just keeping it on the attack at all times. Emma Ward, Adamson, we'll be good.
Yeah,
and
and then also on defense, you have Casey Benoit, who did a phenomenal job last season as a freshman.
Right.
She was one of the leaders of the defense as a freshman. So now we have her again. You have Jolie Caramelli, who does an amazing job as well. Both of them had 3 caused turnovers in the game. So I feel like they're going to be able to really help Guyette being able to stand in front of her, as long as Guyette is then vocal and able to work with her defense well enough. They should be okay, but we have to see a bit more from her.
Sure, I didn't even see this. We did not allow a goal for over 22 minutes across the second and third quarters. I mean, that's impressive. That's impressive.
And I think, you know, getting off to a hot start is going to be one of the more important aspects for both teams, because the defense is good, but it's also the back end of the defense, which is the goaltending, is questionable, at least for right now at this part of the season. The offense has got to get going early and often. Men's team has done that twice now. The women's team did that against UAlbany. We'll see if they can do it against Maryland on Saturday. And
number 7.
Yeah, I was going to say the competition starts to intensify pretty fast for Syracuse. First, the men's,
for both
they
teams.
got some breathing room. They play Towson today, but even them, like there's definitely a separation between the top dogs in the ACC or in men's lacrosse and a team that's ranked 17th. For the women's team, I mean, you face Maryland your second game, you're finding out pretty early on what your team's made of.
100%. And I think that also you're saying that we didn't let up a single goal for 22 minutes of that game.
Crazy.
A big part of that is not only maintaining possession of the ball and being able to take 1 shots, but getting the ball in the first place on the draw control. We had Kate Mashevsky in previous seasons. Olivia Adamson had stepped up in games about like last year, the year before, like 2 years ago mainly, when Mashevsky was injured. But after she came back, she just took the country by storm in Syracuse, one of the best draw controllers we've ever seen.
Right.
And so it was a huge question going into the game of who was going to step up. Was it going to be Adamson, because she had done so in the past, but there's so much pressure already being put onto her on the attacking zone. So were we going to be able to rely on her? Jolie Caramelli also was one that was put down as a potential draw controller. And then you have Alexa Vogelman, Caroline Drinkus, but the person who came up on the draw control was Meg Road. She had 11 draw controls in the game. She's currently a junior, was injured her freshman season, so didn't play. Last year as a sophomore, she played in 9 games, had a couple goals. She had 8 goals on the season, played in 9 of those games, so that's pretty much scoring in every game. But she didn't take a single draw control last season and didn't even play in every game. 9 games, did a great job when she was on the field, had a goal here and there, but being able to step up first game of the season, never taking the draw controls in college lacrosse, being injured your freshman year and having 11, that's...
Hey, shout out to her.
Yeah.
Let's go.
A phenomenal job by her.
And I think, you know, these younger players, like you've talked about, are kind of setting the trend a little bit, because you had Casey Benoit as a freshman last year. You have Rode, who's relatively young still. And they're going to, you know, as experienced as this team is, with an Emma Ward or Olivia Adamson, I mean, they have some younger players who are going to propel them and see what happens going forward. But back to the draw control, also very important to get that off the bat, especially against the Maryland team that is very, very good. If you can kind of edge some of those out and put the ball in your offense's hands, I think they have a good opportunity to get off to a fine start.
Yeah, and I wasn't able to watch it live, but I watched the highlights, and it was just a very rapid style of play.
Right.
12 total point scorers. I mean, they're spreading the love. That's what we like to see.
They were.
Yeah, very strong start from the women's team. Another team that had a really strong start is Syracuse men's lacrosse, who, as Nico mentioned, plays against Townsend later today. So stay with us to hear more about men's lacrosse after the break on QSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio Syracuse.
Hey, this is former Syracuse basketball player.
Sweet.
Appreciate it.
What time's the game at? Oh, it's a few hours from now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's at 5.
Some time.
2 hours.
Dude.
Is that Jordan?
Dude.
Who is singing back there?
Classic, man. 2017.
No, you could keep going. I wasn't saying that you had to stop.
I thought it was pretty good.
I'm just sitting here and I just hear very
I thought it was
faintly.
awesome.
in
Nico
my
started
ear.
humming along. Oh, man.
Hey, is your guys' Outlook email messed up sometimes?
What?
Like, whenever there's a document attached, it just automatically refreshes.
Oh, no.
No?
I don't think so.
Also, I don't.
Lame.
I just use the Outlook
The app?
app,
I mean, that's what I have too, but it's just
which isn't opening. Oh, now it is. Okay.
yeah. What ifs?
Are either of you guys going to be going to the game tonight?
No.
Yeah, no,
I'll be in class.
I have a Viz class.
Are you going?
I might go for a little bit.
Say hi to my boy Luke Roa.
Yeah, lacrosse games they're very fun to be at.
They're so much fun.
They're a lot of fun. Underrated. We get more people in there.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you what.
Great showing, honestly, for the men's team.
Did they for game one?
How many? Yeah. Let's see. How many people was it?
Here's my one thing with lacrosse.
Oh gosh. Yes.
Crowds. Okay.
Okay.
I don't like when people are like, "Oh, what a great crowd today in the Dome." I'm like, "Okay, there were 4,000 people there at the lacrosse game."
Yes.
That's where I'm a little like, okay, let's put this in perspective.
Yeah, you got to be realistic.
But
yeah, they almost.
I think they are
6,000
very. Yeah, it's pretty good. But I mean, they are a very entertaining
for a
team.
lacrosse game.
Yes.
I mean, how many does Notre Dame
I just think
get?
people overdo the popularity a little too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get a lot of young players too, families. It's there's a lot of people that end up going to the games.
Right.
For lacrosse, it's more than soccer games or even lacrosse any other school.
No, true. Very true.
Yeah, a lot more than soccer.
Definitely.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that just their first game of the season they had over 5,000 fans. It's a decent amount.
We'll take it. How many do you normally get for football? 30? No.
40.
40?
About 35.
I said that Luke Roa is going to be a top 3 goal scorer on Syracuse this year.
100%.
Oh, you agree?
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Because I was getting so bashed on that.
No, oh my gosh. No, Luke Rowe is an amazing player.
I agree.
Especially
Shout
last
out
season.
Presentational speaking class.
Oh, he was in your presentational speaking class.
I took that too.
Yeah.
I took that last year.
No, I think he's going to be top 3. And I did not guarantee Spolino was going to be top 3. In a good way. Because I don't think he has to force that many shots because they have so many guys they can go to. He probably will be a top 3, but...
Yeah, probably. No, you don't think?
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You want me to lead?
Sure. Go for it.
Take us home.
My chair is currently sinking.
What do you mean it's sinking?
I don't know. I'm not even pressing anything.
Just going down.
Stand
Just
up.
going down.
Oh, you just... Yeah. Stand up. Stand up so you can fix your chair.
This is his real height for anyone who's watching.
Hey.
30 seconds.
Don't break the chair.
I'll try not to.
least you guys can actually sit comfortably.
Yeah. I'm very comfortable.
100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Sure is. Wrapping up shop here on Newhouse Afternoon. Nico Horning, Evan Fay, and Alex Pohl here with you on this Monday afternoon. We've talked Super Bowl. We've talked Syracuse men's basketball, women's lacrosse. That leads us to one game that's happening tonight here in Syracuse. That is the men's lacrosse team taking on a ranked Towson team. This is, I'd say, the first test of the season for Syracuse, although there is, I would agree, a noticeable gap between some of the top-ranked teams in men's lacrosse and the bottom of the ranked teams. Still a good test tonight for Syracuse against Towson. I think they're ranked 17. Maybe 16. You never know exactly what the rankings are because it's very confusing. But they're somewhere in that department. And after two big wins against Jacksonville and Vermont, where we saw the offense start early and often, tonight's going to be another opportunity to get going fast. But this is really the first of three games in a row that are going to be tough. Towson,
yep.
Then you play a top 5 Maryland team. And then
smart people.
Harvard's also ranked. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. What's the biggest thing for you guys for this team to start fast tonight, and what have you been impressed by in the first couple of games?
Well, I've been impressed by our high-powered offense. Spallina, of course, the man tallying 10 points, actually tied his career high against Vermont on Friday.
Yeah, he had a great game.
Yeah, and that was matching his total from a 16-3 blowout of Manhattan last year when he got 5 points, 5 assists. But, I mean, we killed Vermont 5-6 on extra man opportunities with the lone goal coming in the fourth quarter when the game was already decided. But just keep doing more of that, as I said. I mean, my favorite philosophy, high-powered offense makes the best defense. I think we're going to keep on that. Our goalie did play well, though. He's getting more reps. I know you were a little bit concerned about that last show, but what do you think, Alex?
Yeah, in terms of the offense, I think they did a great job also getting a bunch of different players involved, as well as the women's. We talked about that. The women's team did a great job. They had like 9 different goal scorers. The men's team also had so many different goal scorers. In terms of shooting, they were 31 of their 48 shots were on goal, which is honestly an amazing stat for them. I think we've seen it in the past where sometimes they try and force shots, don't move around as much, especially if there's pressure on certain players to be taking as many shots. Like you mentioned Joey Spallina before. You know, sometimes there's a lot of pressure on him to just try and get it.
He was forcing a lot last year.
He's forced a lot. This year we're seeing, him take a little bit of a step back to, share the wealth a bit in a good way, but didn't take much of a step back considering he had 5 goals and 5 assists in the game.
I know that was the funny part. But even going back to the opener against Jacksonville, Spallina didn't score until 2 minutes to go in that second quarter, which is a great problem because you have so many offensive weapons you can go to, whether it's Michael Leo, Finn Thompson, Luke Roa,
even Sam English.
Sam English as well. Owen Hiltz, of course. There's so many guys that this offense can go to, which is why they're going to be hopefully vying for a national championship towards the end of the season. We'll see. It is so early on, and they haven't faced any tough teams, one of them starting tonight. But the fact that they have so many guys that they can go to score at any moment is so important. And everyone harps on Joey Spallina. I think it's a great problem for him not to be forcing shots. Give the ball up, find the open shot, and even when you do so, Spallina still has an incredible game like he did against Vermont. But he doesn't have to force anything for this team to be good, which is maybe a little bit of a different characteristic than what we saw last year.
I mean, like this women's team, let's spread the love. Let's spread the love. Why not? And I don't know if you remember, but today's contest is a rematch actually from the first round of last year's NCAA tournament when we overcame a halftime deficit to beat Townsend 20-15. So let's beat them again.
Yeah, and like you mentioned in the first game of the season, they actually had 12 different goal scorers in that game for the men's team.
Crazy.
That just goes to show the amount of depth that they have on this squad within their, older, more seasoned players, but also within the young guys as well. They were getting everyone involved in that game. So they really do a great job of not putting, too much pressure on certain players. But one player that did stick out to me in that first game is someone who you said during the break is going to be a top 3 goal scorer in this team of Luke Roa.
Yes. Roa's been great. And he had that first goal last game where he was literally on his left side, like parallel to the ground, somehow flung that thing in. He is really dynamic, and he's fast, but he's dynamic, he's strong, and I think he's gonna have a great season. I think he's kind of the underrated good scorers. Like, people don't talk about him as much as they should, in my opinion. It's always the Spalina, it's always the Owen Hiltz, and at this point I would say the Michael Leo as well. There's never that Owen Hiltz conversation as a top 3 goal scorer. I think he's going to be a top 3 goal scorer on this team come the end of the season.
Yeah, I could definitely see that for Luke Roa. Yep. I completely agree. Definitely an underrated player on this squad. I think we really saw him start to shine last season when they played against the ranked opponents. He was always, there. He had a presence on the field. He's pretty much like a second-line offensive midfielder, but he had like a few assists here, a point there, was just involved. But when they played against some of those top teams, when Joey Spalina sometimes couldn't even put up 1 point on the board, Luke Roa came out so strong and was such a leader on that offense as kind of like a second line and a sophomore at the time. So now that he's in his junior season, I think he's going to definitely be one of the biggest leaders on this offense.
Well, your words are marked here.
And
top 3.
Last time that they played, so last season when they had played Maryland, he had 4 of those goals.
Right. He's got a good opportunity to get this team off to a hot start here in ranked play. Again, Towson tonight, 4th ranked Maryland on Saturday, and then another ranked Harvard team comes a week after that. So plenty of tough lacrosse for Syracuse men's and women's to play coming up. That does it for us today. For Alex Pohl and Evan Fay, I'm Nico Horning, wishing you a great rest of your day here on Newhouse Afternoon. We'll be back on in a couple of weeks, but for now, have a great afternoon. You're listening to Q Sports Talk and ESPN Radio.
The Sports Show with Cody.